All right, guys, this is Dave Witcher, Weekend Warrior Podcast. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to introduce our CEO. And this guy's affected me more than anybody probably in my entire life, the last 2 years. So, as you guys know him, he's our leader. He's somebody that outworks everybody. Someone I truly admire, not just saying it because he's sitting next to me, but at the end of the day, we just want to grow. We'll go to $1 billion, and Shawn's going to tell us how to do that. We end up over 600 million. Tell us about that. All the different things we're going to do at FFL to win. So if you're watching this is the place to be for sure today. So Shawn, say hi to everyone.
How we doing, guys? Thanks for having me on, Dave. I'm very impressed, Dave.
We should give him a lot of those.
I'm very impressed, Dave. You're doing good.
So, Shawn, the thing is, I came here, a couple years ago, and I just, you saw something in me, and believe me, I think we've been talking about that a little bit later. I'd love you to talk about that. I think we got to believe in people more, see them where they're going to grow, find out why they're here, and help them get there. But they have to be willing to work hard. And that's one thing I've always wanted to do is work hard, and I could follow someone like you because you do work hard. So that's just where I'd like to start and talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can remember meeting you, Dave, and what was exciting about meeting you was the passion with which you spoke about what you wanted to do. I think one of the mistakes that we make a lot is we try to be so excited for everybody else. That's why I kind of, guys said to me the other day, I mean, you look really tired in your pictures. And he did it to like bust my ass. He says he doesn't, but it's what he did it for. And I said, why? Because I'm not like smiling ear to ear. I'm doing a million things. I'm trying to stay focused. But at the end of the day, you only have so much emotional energy. I know that. All of us do. There's a tank. And I tend not to get more excited for people than they get excited for themselves. I'll talk about it. What I wanted to know, Dave, was why you wanted to do this, and you were clearly focused. But I did tell you, and I did. After listening to you talk, I was like, dude, you don't realize your commitment level is higher than most people I talk to. You seem pretty resilient. I don't know you yet, but you say you're a real hard worker. If you work as hard as you say you're willing to work, you're going to absolutely do things here that like nobody else could ever do. Like it's going to be crazy. And I think that for people to really get a handle on that, is a game changer, and I think that we don't, people always talking about like, what are we gonna do with this training? What are we gonna do here? What are we gonna do there? And if you ask me if I would rather have somebody have taught me what to say on the phone when I called or what to say when I got in the home, or taught me how to be a businessman, carry myself, and how to be presumptive and how to understand the dynamic between myself and a lead, I'd take the latter, because the other stuff's so easy. There's really nothing to it. I'm glad we get around each other and make dials and listen and train. I think that's outstanding. It's unbelievable. But at the end of the day, too, what you have to understand is we have this unique opportunity to share when you have that presumptiveness. Like Dave, when I said, here's a number you can hit, you were like, okay, show me how to do it. I'll do it. It wasn't, a lot of us, right? We've all been there, whether you're there now or not. You have this voice in your head telling you how you can't do something. You say whatever you want. You can pretend you don't. You can spin it. But somebody believes in you, and it might freak you out a little bit. It might be the first time anybody's really believed in you. Like, not that you have some terrible life, right? But, like, really believed in you. And for me, Dave, I always want to breathe life into people, dude. That's kind of my deal. I whatever's going on in life, I want to breathe life into other people. Even if my life ain't going the way I want it to go, I want to breathe life into other people. I just want to help serve and allow people to go to places they thought they couldn't go. And I think when you can do that, it's a complete game changer. So it and you, Dave. Now, Dave, after we had met, if 2 weeks later you hadn't done nothing, I wouldn't have been mad at you. I just keep it moving. I don't like complaining about why you didn't do anything. I don't call you, every Tuesday and Thursday and go, Dave, why aren't you doing something? I don't go like, man, I don't text you and go, Dave, you told me you were going to do. I just keep it moving. I find wherever there's activity is where I go. That's all I do. I go, okay, I don't know if this guy's crazy, not. What he's going to do, he's not going to do. He's active. I'm going to go over there. Trust only motion. That has always been my deal. So if you're moving, I'm working. And if you're not moving, I'm walking. And that doesn't mean I won't turn around and come back. But for right now, I'm walking away.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And the thing is, like, I know for me, it's just, and I know we have a lot of similarities in the way that, like, we just work hard. Like, I knew I could do that. I believe, and I know he believes the same way. Is if one man can do it, why can't I do it? I mean, we're not pro athletes. We're not, anything like that. But this is a type of environment that you can win if you're willing to work hard and trust. And I mean, Andrew told me, he said, look, go do this, go do that. I just followed. So somebody's starting. How do we maybe see them further? You know, where they want to be. What are some things we can say to people as new agents are coming on board to really find out like what their whys are to get them moving? Because I know for me, it was just I wanted to change my family's life, right? And then it became I want to change other people's lives. But I mean, truth is, I wanted to do that anyway. I just didn't have the right vehicle, and I do here. And so it was exciting for me to talk about Family First Life because I was actually making money. But could you talk about, just as we bring on new people, some things that we can do to help them get going fast, to take action, and you know, those type of things?
I think first of all, you got to try to put yourself in their shoes. I think anytime anybody's asking you for help or going through anything at all, I think you need to at least take a few seconds or a few minutes to say to yourself, what's it feel like? So Dave, you started today and you were, 3 kids, mortgage to pay, and maybe you got laid off at your job. And maybe you have a month left of whatever money's coming in, then you're done. And you have $700 in your name. You know what I mean? You have a credit card, you can get leads. But I have to take for a second into consideration how you feel. So the first thing I say to you is, hey, Dave, I know where you are because you shared it with me, so thank you for sharing it. That's why I'm always big on sharing stuff about me. It makes people more apt to share stuff about themselves. But I go, I think for a minute, and then I need to be I'll challenge people real fast. And the reality really is the simplest way I think we should talk about this business to everybody, and I don't think we do, is if you're not going to get leads, you can't do it, you'll go broke. If you can't make 2 sales, which means you make your money back even if one of them canceled, out of 80, then you probably should go just find another job. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to be like, it's impossible. See, I want to make what they think is impossible possible. Because it's funny, when somebody says, I was in a meeting recently, the guy said, I spoke to 90 people, and they all said no. And I very nicely, Dave, said, were you in that meeting in Chicago? I don't think so.
I wasn't that
I
one.
very nicely said, does anybody in the room believe he spoke to 90? Everybody got quiet. I said, no, I mean, seriously, guys, who believes? I said, I don't believe, but who believes that he spoke to 90 people that wanted? And of course, when I finally got it down, he had dialed 90 times, which still probably didn't do that, spoke to 3 people, and they all said no. And then I asked him to go through his phone script, and it was like not anything we teach. So for me, I'm not going to allow people to convince me that what's impossible is possible. It's impossible to talk to 30 people that filled something out, 20 people that filled something out. And if you're doing it the right way, it's impossible to talk to 5 or 6 or 7 in a row that will say no. It's impossible. You go into spot. No, it's not. Now, if you do it, if you go, hey, Mr. Richard, hey, but if you just go like Dave, Shawn, Benefit Center, I mean, you just do that, it's impossible not to, because I ain't a threat to you at all. I'm doing is get the information. I'm the guy assigned to get the information to you. What about the objections? I don't get a lot of them. If I do it, they're not an objection anyway. If it's not an objection, if I don't acknowledge it. So I just keep moving. I understand, Dave. So I'll see you tomorrow. I understand, Dave. We'll see. My point is, if you do that, it's impossible to have those terrible results. It's impossible. And it's possible to do what we're doing. So I'm a big fan, Dave, of trying to figure out how hard I'm going to have to work for you to be positive. I'm not a big fan of negative people. I think it's contagious. I actually think it's disgusting, to be honest with you. And the only book I read every day doesn't tell you to be a whiny crybaby. It just doesn't. It's pretty strong in the language and how you're supposed to handle yourself. So, for me, I'm just trying to discern. And the first time I'll know, Dave, is the first time you fall on your face. You don't know anything about anybody till you fall on your face. I mean, that's why before a season starts, you scrimmage. You practice. They're practicing with people they know. All of a sudden, you put a jersey on. The other team puts a jersey on. You get 3 or 4 practice games, and you're like, oh, he's a practice player. Yeah, he don't show up when there's games. I've met practice players. I mean, they're all American practice players. But God forbid somebody come flying across the field and put a helmet on their chin, and they bleed a little bit. The mouthpiece comes out, and they're done. They quit. So I think for us, it was really. I'm trying to find, Dave, where to work, number one. And by the way, don't ever be frustrated with people because they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. Like I was talking to the guy the other day, and I said, the 2 of them they don't get along. And I said, what's your biggest issue with him? And he said, I never told him I was going to do those things. So I was like, dude, did you ask him if he's going to sell 40 grand a month? He's like, no. He's like, dude, I know I should want more. I don't want more. And then we talked for about 20 minutes about why he doesn't want more of his life. And we were done. He's like, I actually do want more in my life. I've been scared. But it took me 20 minutes to get there. The guy's been talking to him for 3 months. beating him over the head about get out there, do this, do this. I said, are you afraid to buy leads? Yes. Why? I'm afraid I'm not going to be any good. Why? I just don't feel, I don't know. I'm not that confident. Okay, why? And we start talking about all that. Who told you not to be confident? Who was that person breathing that garbage into you? This guy was. Was he even like worth it? He's like, no, he was terrible, dude. Terrible human. I don't respect him at all. So I'm like, so you've allowed an opinion of yourself to be created based on the words of people you have no respect for. Think about how counterintuitive that is, how stupid that is. So I think, Dave, let's get to know people and share things with them. Let's figure out why they want to do it. This isn't it's not, and let's not, you have to be careful. We have a lot of people that want to overtrain. Overtraining makes me believe it's complicated. The greatest gift I had is I was like, here, Dave, here are the leads. Like, here you go. And you go, what do you do? I go, call them. That's exactly what I'd say. I go, call them, and then when they say hello, tell them you're coming to their house. And then when you get in your car, to drive, the pedal on the right is the gas. And the pedal on the left is the brake. You just use one foot. Two, you'll screw yourself up. And they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, if the light turns red, it's exactly what I turn. If the light turns red, I need you to stop because the other ones aren't red. They can't all be red at the same time. And they're going to hit you. And life insurance training's hard because if they die, it pays. And the return of premium, this is what I said. Return of premium, get your money back. And whole life insurance, sit down, it's really complicated. It's for your whole life. And the premium never changes. So I did that not to be funny or sarcastic and not remotely condescending because this is the industry I'm in as well. I did it for people to understand how damn simple this thing is. And a lot of us want to have such complicated training because then we feel validated. Some of you are talking people into not doing it because your training's so complicated. You don't mean it, but you want to overtrain them because it gives you worth. What'd you do? He's been like, I just did what y'all told me to, called them up, dude. It really wasn't like any kind of train. I needed to understand the dynamic, who they were. I told them I was coming to the house. First few times I had some carrier questions I called, but other than that, I was done. I was straight. I was good to go. That's what I want. That's the dynamic that I want with people I'm working with. So, and again, I think the struggle, Dave, is you'll get 3 or 4 or 5 agents. You're fixated on them doing something in the next 48 to 72 hours. And when they don't, you start to overwhelm them, And when you start to overwhelm them, like they don't know what to do with themselves. They push back. We get overwhelmed and there's too much emotion on one side. So like, I'm not saying I'm going to take over the world, but you want me to take over the world. And I'm saying, I don't know if I want to take over the world. And then you're up here emotionally. I just withdraw because I don't know what to do. I think most people are that way. So Dave, empowering people early on, I definitely need to get leads in their hands. They have to understand that. I got to get them to understand that they're betting on themselves and why they should bet on themselves. And I explain to them why I would bet on them. I think that's a thing. I mean, we had the opportunity because you're such a big Georgia fan to go to the national championship game, which I wouldn't even have stayed for halftime probably because I don't care at all. But you're a big fan. Brent's a big fan, the whole deal. But one thing I will say, I bet on Georgia, so I wasn't pulling for Alabama. But one thing I will say about the press conference, I like the whole Saban thing going like, these 2 young men are not dictated by one football game. Like before you start getting into this one, like it was one game. It was a big game. Nobody disputes it. But it was one game. These two's careers in this game, even though they're both going to play professionally, if it ended collegiately, they're not defined by one game. You're not defined by one day in business. You're not defined by 1 month. You're not defined by 1 year. That's the beautiful part about this whole deal is even if everything you've been doing up until this point in time has not yielded the result you had, you're not getting at least 1,000 hours a week in leads. You're not willing to dial until you get 30 appointments, 40 appointments. You've not run 30 or 40 appointments a week. You've not hired all day, every day. You've not increased your social media presence. All those things doesn't matter. You can start doing them today. See, a lot of people get caught up in where they should be. Who cares? Who cares? Imagine if 4 years ago I want to lose weight. I need to lose 40 pounds. I didn't go every day and go, damn, I can't believe this. Dude, I made a decision to lose it, so I just went forward and started losing weight. Stopped eating like complete and unadulterated, just like 14 times a day at McDonald's. Went to work out, but I didn't fixate on the past all the time. Wish I had done it earlier. Man, if I hadn't done this to myself, man, I'd be better. I just kept it moving. We burned the boats day one. I would have rather. This will sound dramatic to people that think things sound dramatic, that people that have never made a stand in their lives for anything. Dude, I'd have rather been dead than give up. I was broke. I didn't like what was happening. There's a bunch of men and women that were like, dude, I'm broke. I need to find a better way. My family deserves better. So the only option that wasn't an option was quitting. That was it. We burnt the mother effing boats too, and we came to fight, and we ended up kicking a lot of ass, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest. But Dave, it's outside of my kids, it's probably the greatest feeling I've ever had. Like outside of them being born and raising them, it's probably the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life as far as that gratification is, and I'm not preaching to anybody. never will. But God is great because his integrity thing just happened. I'd love to tell you that, I was sitting around one day and, and try to, tell you how unbelievably intelligent I am. And man, I just knew we had to do this. And I called integrity and I negotiated it. So I got a phone call from a guy I used to be in business with, however many years ago, who I just liked. And he asked if I would take a call with the folks from integrity. And I'm so laser focused on what we're doing, I couldn't tell you, like, sticking to the game, I couldn't tell you two players from either team. I don't pay no attention. I'm here. I'm just kind of like, so I didn't know who integrity was. Not that they weren't already a large company, but I just live in my lane, right? So I took the phone call, and the rest is history, as they say. But Dave, it's when the people's videos come out, dude. Like I cry, man. And yes, some of them I know have known longer. Maybe the tears are a little deeper, but it's very emotional for me. I mean, I didn't know Grady Polson at all until he started working here. I didn't. So he lives in a different. He lives good distance from me. I didn't see him a lot. I talked to him a handful of times, like in person for the first couple of years. I don't even know we talked over the phone first couple of years. But to watch him, I had the opportunity to be at his house recently, and I just really kind of just took a step back, watch kids run around, and he got a lot of kids, and they run around and doing the thing and jumping in the pool, and they're betting me I won't jump in the pool. He don't heat his pool, which is weird because I like the pool like warm, and he don't heat it, so he keeps that thing like 58 degrees, and jumping. But I like literally just sat back for a little bit, and I was reflecting on, man, this is all possible because he worked hard. But had we, not just me, had we quit, he wouldn't be living here. They wouldn't be jumping off a rock configuration of a waterfall into this amazing pool in the backyard outside this grilling area in this ridiculously large house in a beautiful neighborhood. And it's not about possessions, but it's about what he can do for his family and the way he can provide. And if I played any part in that, that's kind of the most humbling feeling you can ever have in your life. Dave, I don't know a more humbling feeling than that. And this whole thing for me is doing for other people. And I think and that's the great thing about integrity. I mean, bottom line, you saw Eric Schmidt just closed. I mean, we put everybody in front of integrity. We have, now I think we have 20 deals. What's today?
Today's 11th
Okay.
of January.
Okay, so we now have 20 deals. I think we have 8 more they're working on and another 8 behind them. You go, well, how do you do it? Just, it's EBITDA, dude. And now they like hard workers, like people go out there and lead and crush it and sell and all of the above. But at the end of the day, you got to understand that everybody has the exact same opportunity to get there, which is great. So I think that's the other thing for me, Dave. It was humbling to see people do it, but now I'm like, anybody can actually do it. Like, we're going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deals. And that to me is like crazy, crazy powerful. Like, I couldn't be any happier. So, Dave, it's surreal. I went to Eastern Connecticut State University and studied social work, and to think that I have a part in running, or I get to run a $1 billion company, dude, that's pretty cool. And I just don't want to screw it up every day. I'm just trying to get better every day. I don't want to let people down.
And I thank you for that from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity. So I watched Eric's video today, and it brought tears to my eyes. Mm-hmm. And I've known Eric, a couple of years, but really this last year, I've been to his house. I mean, great human being, big heart. And I can say I got emotional about a couple other deals, but I didn't know him. I've known Eric as long as anybody,
Correct.
Right, that close. So, yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like for you, and I can't wait to, see some of the guys that work with us get those.
It's going to change your life, Dave.
It's unbelievable.
At the end of the day, here's what I know. Look at the integrity partners, right? You look at Schmidt just closed. You have Frank, Hall of Fame. Ivan before him, Hall of Fame. Zach T before him, Hall of Fame. Andrew and Paul, Hall of Fame. Matt Smith, Hall of Fame. Producers. Mark Mead, Hall of Fame. A lot of people don't know this. John Wetmore, Hall of Fame. A lot of people didn't know that. John was like, I'll do it one year. Almost all the partners are Hall of Fame producers, and we had a couple that they had money. Like Nick Ayala had money. He had a lot of money, and he chose to come here and build a business without even knowing about integrity. And he's like, man, this is the greatest business decision of my life. But he had sold a company and had money. So, you go, well, I have enough money. No, I'm like, no. He had plenty of money. Like he had enough money to pay all his bills. He had enough money to pay staff. He had 4, 5, 6 staff deep right away, marketing money right away. He was making money right away. That's why he's able to do it. So a lot of you are trying to do it in a fixed budget because you don't sell enough. And do I think the Hall of Fame is important? Yeah, I think we're going to be around for a long time. It's becoming a common question at Integrity. Are they a Hall of Fame producer? You know, somebody asked about the road to Hall of Fame meetings. We have people actually ask me at the road to Hall of Fame meetings if people are not Hall of Fame producers, who are producers can train. And I'm like, dude, say that again out loud. Like, ask me that again. I'm not just trying to be funny, but you know how I am. You're asking me if a road to Hall of Fame training can be conducted by somebody who's never hit a Hall of Fame. With a straight face, you're asking me that. Like, not laughing, not comedy hour, straight face. And I think that getting people to understand that, you know, I'll be really transparent. I don't say this much. I hated to come out of the field. I mean, I tell you I love the field. No, I hated it. I came out of the field because my attorney told me I had to. It's so much going on litigiously that I was in deposition meeting. I was literally, he's like, I just can't wait, you know, Thursday, Friday, whatever day for you to come out of the field at 6 p.m. I just can't. He's like, I just can't do that. So I know you're running the company while you're in the field. And then Mike Saj is like, dude, I can't either. Like, I have this marketing stuff. And then Saj is like, Leeds, I just need you to be present. You know, I hated that. I knew it, but I hated it. So for those I love y'all. For those of you that somehow are enamored with, I'm not going to teach you on things. That'd be like asking me how to run a 4.240. I don't know. I've never run one. Sub 5, I was happy. You know what I mean? So like at the end of the day, I wouldn't know how to do that. You know, so for me, I think it's getting people to understand that it will pay dividends for your business. So to the degree, it's not going to be just to the second. Like it's the multiplication factor is huge. And by the way, we're going to keep doing this Road to Hall of Fame meetings for a long time. And we're going to keep not letting people that have never Hall of Fame producers, that I don't care, hit it one time, no matter to me. But if you've not been a Hall of Fame producer, you are not going to train there because that's unfair to everybody else. Some people don't sell enough and it makes them overmanage and micromanage people and they drive people crazy. So they actually aren't growing because they're way too involved. It's like Mark Mead came out of the field, went back in the field, and I was like, dude, go back in the field. I'm like, and he was just so busy trying to get everybody to do everything. And they're like, dude, leave me alone. Like, this isn't a complicated business. Stop pushing me every 37 seconds. Stop texting me and emailing me. But Mark didn't have anything to do. So the question Integrity has is, what is the guy that's building a business or girl that's building a business? What are they doing all day long? And I go, I don't know. And I don't dog anybody. I don't say, Tom's not. I want everybody to win. So I tell, but I don't lie to Integrity. I'm like, I don't know. So Dave, I think, you know, it pays dividends. Take John Whitmore. He'll always be able to say he's a Hall of Fame producer.
Yep.
Hall of Fame producer, Hall of Fame manager. He will always be able to say that. So will all those other names I mentioned to you. All of them. And I think we have 3 that weren't. And all 3 of them had money. You know, but at the end of the day, for me, if I had lived on this and I sold this and I had all this money that was discretionary, I was very unemotional about the business because it wasn't my last dollar.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And, you know, here's the thing, and I'm going to say, I did Hall of Fame last year, and honestly, the whole time I had to have the money to build the business. That's what's great about it. See, I came from another company where I had to borrow money, like literally open offices, do all this stuff, and couldn't grow the way we wanted. And here, this allowed me a platform where I could hire staff. And I know I'm just like you, and I'm gonna let you wrap this up, say a couple other things for us, but how we're going to $1 billion. But for me, it was like, just like you, I'd rather be in the field. Like I went in the field a week ago. Did you know that? With Ryan, I was out in the field.
I don't know that.
I just got in the phone, went out on appointments with him. And then I dialed the phone right here in this office and sold a telecell right over the phone because you encourage that. And I wanted to do it. I actually miss it. So, you know, I don't understand that. Like, I would rather do that than do all this administrative stuff. You know, I don't, that's why I hire somebody else. Like every time I just don't want to do that stuff. You said that. I'd hire you told me that early on. I remember saying that. If there's something you don't like to do or you don't need to be doing that's not making you money, don't do it. Hire somebody to do it. I remember that. The very first, I don't know if you remember telling me that. But
I remember telling you that, dude. I say it to people all the time, you know.
But as we wrap up, maybe a few comments on how we get to $1 billion this year, other than we double, triple, quadruple, and all that good stuff.
Last thing is this, dude. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, we're not talking about forever. Meaning, I tell a lot of people, would you make a sacrifice for 12 months? Like, would you for 12 months, work hard on it for 12 months? Like, would you go work 56, 78 hours a week to build your business, to get a deal with integrity, to put your family in a place where you want to put them in? 12 months. Not forever. Would you not spend time on things you could pay somebody to do from an administrative standpoint? Will you will you not get emotional about your business? Those 4 things, dude. I mean, like, that's it. And then be humble. Like, well, I'm emotional about the business. Well, you're a 3 for 4. Well, I don't do 30K. Well, you're a 2 for 4. Well, I don't put all the money back in because I like to spend money on all these other things I don't need. Okay, now you're 1 for 4. And you wonder why you're not growing. We're going to double because we're actually going to recruit this year. We're terrible at recruiting. So what if you recruited all day, every day? What if you got on social media, marketed yourself, had your own board, right? A storyboard for your own. What's your story? What are you going to put out there? What do you want people to know about you? How are you going to market those things? You have to ask yourself that. This has to be the year you decide, I don't give a damn what people think. I'm tired of trying to placate people. I'm tired of playing small. I ain't mediocre. I'm tired of that little damn voice in my head going, he probably can't. Here's why Tom does it. Here's why Tina does it. And they're better than you, and you can't do it. Tell that voice to shut up, right? And cuss it out and keep it moving. God is great. Live in your faith and know that, like, you're supposed to be a hero. You're not supposed to play down to everybody else's level. And capitalism works because a lot of people believe they're not supposed to do anything. You're not one of those people. So why not you?
I love it. Thank you so much for being on, and thank you for being a Weekend Warrior podcast. That's our CEO, Shawn Meaike, FFL. Come join us. Please subscribe to Family First Life Velocity on our YouTube page, obviously FFL, all the different platforms out there, FFL USA. There's so much content out there. You can just learn about our company. We want you to be here. We're here to help you grow, and we appreciate you, Shawn. Thanks so much for being on today.
Appreciate
Thanks, guys.
you. Thanks for having me.